Thanks very much.
Healthier world. That's our vision for UHN. To get us there, Team UHN, talented people willing to take bold steps and to guide us there. A shared purpose, transform lives and communities with excellence in care, discovery, and learning. This is our shared commitment to the betterment of all. Discovering new ways to reduce the risk of cancer, developing new treatments to positively impact the lives of patients, working to make sure everyone leaves with a smile on their face, using cutting-edge technology to increase the number of transplant surgeries, and striving to improve mental health by taking an interactive approach. Yes, we believe that with courage, anything is possible, and that people helping people is a contagious and fascinating effect. The dedication and great work of our award-winning people always pays off. We continuously elevate our ambitions to benefit our patients. Our first step to provide excellent patient care is integrating physical and mental health. We work with our hearts to find out if a damaged heart can learn to fix itself. No. There are no limits to our research. In other words, the future is already here. Ambitiously, we are moving towards a healthier world, making progress not only in quality, but also in quantity. An app that can help patients combat cancer? Check. We are already developing this because we have the best technologies and people working together. When people of courage come together, we change the face of healthcare, not just in our community, but around the world. By working together, guided by our shared vision and the strategic priorities we've collectively built, we can achieve this and so much more. All of this wouldn't be possible without the generosity of each one of our incredible donors, volunteers, patients, families, partners, and Team UHN. A healthier world. A bold statement, but what would you expect from an organization dedicated to transforming lives? Year after year, we raise the bar in terms of what tomorrow's care looks like today. UHN, a healthier world.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us either here in person or via webcast. My name is Brian Porter, and I have the privilege of chairing UHN's Board of Trustees, and it's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. Today, we will be reflecting on the past year, learning about the importance of nursing in an academic health science center, and celebrating the tremendous achievements of some exceptional members of this organization. We will also be hearing from one of UHN's patient partners, Peter Kyriakidis. Peter will be sharing his story at the end of today's events. Thank you for being with us today, Peter. Last year, we decided to take a different approach with regards to our annual meeting. Instead of using this time to go through governance measures, we are now focusing on celebrating the milestones you've collectively reached in service of our patients, families, and a healthier world. To make this possible, your board met this afternoon and completed the administrative work associated with traditional annual meetings, including the appointment of committee members and approving financial statements. The motions passed at this meeting will be available on UHN's website. At this time, I'd like to ask the trustees who served on the 2018-2019 board to stand and be recognized as I call out their names. Ross Baker. Dean Connor is in Hong Kong, unfortunately. Todd Halpern is also traveling. Eric Horlick. Stu Kedwell. Doug McGregor. Peter Menkes. Cliff Nordell. Lawrence Pentland. Shirley Sharkey. Peter Wallace. Cornell Wright. Trevor Young, Joy Richards, and Kevin Smith. I would also like to recognize those trustees who are unable to be with us this afternoon because of travel engagements. Cheryl Regier, Janet Rosant, Barbara Stymist, who's also in Hong Kong, and Fifi Liu. I would also like to recognize Cliff Nordell, who is stepping down from our board. Cliff has served the board for many years and brought very valuable experience as a former CEO of the London Health Sciences Centre and St. Joseph's Healthcare. He has been instrumental in shaping the integration of the Michener Institute at UHN and will be missed. Thank you, Cliff. I would also like to welcome our three new trustees, Jamie Watt, Janice Fukakusa, and Raj Guttari. Jamie Watt is Executive Chairman of Navigator, and we're very pleased to have him on the board. I'm certain we will benefit from his deep knowledge of public affairs. As Chair of the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation and Chancellor of Ryerson University, Janice Fukakusa brings tremendous financial acumen and experience to our board. Welcome, Janice. I also want to welcome Raj Guttari to the board. Raj is Chair of the Toronto General and Western Hospital Foundation and Vice Chair Partner of PwC Canada. We're fortunate to have you, Raj. Thank you. Now, before we continue with today's agenda, I would also like to thank our three foundations for all the work they do to support UHN. Toronto General and Western Hospital Foundation, the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation, and the Toronto Rehab Foundation. I would also like to extend my personal thanks to our foundation colleagues, as I know they work extremely hard to keep our donor community apprised of the transformative work that is being done across the focus areas of care, research, and education. Thank you all very much. At this moment, I'd like to welcome Dr. Kevin Smith, President and CEO, to the stage to share some highlights of the past year. Kevin.
Well, thank you very much, Brian, and thanks to all of our board members. I'd like to first acknowledge a number of board chairs and special guests who are with us, on whose shoulders we stand. With us today, Dr. Alan Hudson, Mr. John Mulvihill, Mr. George Enns, Mr. David Brown, Dr. Bryce Taylor, Mr. John Warren, and most importantly, Ruth Gopal is with us. Ruth shepherded 4 CEOs and made them look good over 30 years, so Ruth did the most work of all. I'd also, as I mentioned, very much like to thank our high-performing board and Brian Porter, who during my first year here has been just a great chair to work with. Brian, thank you so much for your leadership and support. I'd be remiss if I didn't also recognize a remarkable senior management team here at UHN, who, as I've come to learn more about the organization, we are very blessed by the colleague of individuals who make up the senior management team and truly allow this to be a high-performing health system. Thanks to each and every one of you. Equal thanks to our Medical Advisory Committee and our Professional Advisory Committee, who have been so important and inspirational in shaping our strategic plan. Most of all, I'd like to express my deepest thanks to Team UHN, each member of the team that comes together every day to bring scholarship, care, and education together. So what's happened in this remarkable year? Canada's top research hospital, Canada's leader in hospital patents, a top 10 hospital in the world as recognized by Newsweek. UHN has truly evolved to be Canada's quaternary hospital within a hospital. And by that I mean in the very old days, everyone knew that UHN was a place where the sickest Canadians came. But in addition to that, with the densification of Toronto, we are not only that, but we are also the community's hospital for many, many, many patients in the growing density of downtown Toronto. So while a new challenge, it's also a new opportunity for us to live up to the expectations of our patients. It's also been a great year thanks to our patient partners and their many contributions. And we have in excess of 100 patient partners working with the programs at UHN. They are truly changing the flavor of what we do and how we do it and how patients are truly engaged in the development of care. We have many of them here today. I'd like to especially thank our patient partners and ask you to warmly welcome and thank them with me. Thanks to these individuals, we've been able to focus beyond engagement and truly to meaningful partnership, which we know is important as we move forward in a patient-centered system. We have, of course, overcome some challenges together in the past year. This is not unique to UHN or Canada, but healthcare is a challenging world. Some of the challenges that have befallen us are capacity challenges. We've been operating almost daily at over 100% capacity at all of our sites. We are struggling with aging infrastructure, but in large part helped by our foundation and our government to try to rectify that. The historical challenge of hospital-acquired infections has never been more alive, as has been the threats of challenges with the overuse of antibiotics. And last but certainly not least, the very real challenge and worrisome challenge that we have to be attentive to every day, the burnout that is pervasive across the health professions and the importance of addressing quality of work life for those who serve patients and those who support those who serve patients. These will be areas we will continue to focus on. But we're here today to celebrate while recognizing the challenges, and in celebrating, it would be impossible to cover everything, all the remarkable things that have occurred in the past year. So I hope you'll go and have a look at our link on the bottom corner of the screen, visit uhn.ca, report to our community. But here are some memorable highlights. So the President of Israel visited us to look at some groundbreaking holoscope technology at the Peter Munk Cardiac Center. We were fortunate to undertake North America's first paired living liver donation. This involved a team of 28 UHN staff and surgeons. A total of 100 staff and surgeons cared for patients before, during, and after the 4 simultaneous surgeries. This North American first was achieved thanks to a committed team of nurses, physicians, coordinators, social workers, ethicists, psychiatrists, and most importantly, patients and families. We also, in this past year, have helped to tackle barriers of accessibility in mental health and mental health access through the repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation clinic. Many of you will know that this is based on magnetic theory. Thanks to a team between UHN, CAMH, and the University of British Columbia, a 3-minute treatment for depression is now available to patients, and this is truly a Canadian and world success story. We also were proud this year to recognize the importance between health and social care by launching our Health and Social Policy Initiative. Let me now turn to a very important component for UHN, and that is our research mission. Thanks to our researchers and our research teams, a great deal has happened in the past year. UHN is Canada's top research hospital with over $400 million in funding, which is second to none in this country and competitive on the international scale. We were awarded the most funding from the Canadian Institutes of Health Research among Canadian research hospitals for 2018 competitions, and this is truly the most competitive science in the world. We received over 3,500 scholarly publications last year, and I'll just refer to a few world-changing publications. The high-impact work published in Nature, which identified a group of nerve cells that promote breathing after spinal cord injury. This is thanks to a team led by Dr. Michael Failings. The development of a blood test combining liquid biopsy, epigenetic alterations, and machine learning that might be used to classify cancer cells in the blood. A very big noise about this one, thanks to the team led by Dr. Daniel D. Carvello. We also were fortunate in our research environment to develop a comprehensive catalog of the different cells in the human liver, thanks to a team led by Sonia McParland and Ian McGilvery. We also are profoundly proud of many of our award-winning researchers, and I'll just mention a few. They include Margaret Herridge, who received the Critical Care Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Thoracic Society, John Dick, who received the International Society for Stem Cell Research Award for Innovation, and of course, TACMAC, who keeps racking up award after award, most recently receiving the CIHR's Gold Leaf Prize for Discovery. We also launched this past year in research the McEwen Stem Cell Institute, building strongly on the history of stem cell research here at UHN. Princess Margaret was heavily involved in two major national initiatives this year, both of which received significant funding and research from the Government of Canada. The Digital Health and Discovery Platform, which received $49 million of announced investment, and the Marathon of Hope Cancer Centers Network, which received across this nation $150 million. Really remarkable results. So the third leg on the important stool of care, research, and education is indeed education. We are so proud to foster a culture where everyone has something to learn and everyone has something to teach. We're proud to support almost 17,000 learners across 45 health professions. We track the percentage of learners who have educational experiences at UHN and saw 92% recommending UHN as an environment for fantastic learning. We also, with our Michener Institute, launched a very important initiative called the Research Institute for Healthcare Education, looking at pedagogy and how we train health professionals for the future, and proudly trained Rwanda's first female neurosurgeon, Dr. Claire Kazrexi, who will go back and truly build a service in a nation that has been bereft of neurosurgical services until this time. Also very proud to have seen Toronto Rehab Specialized Dementia Unit, which looked at a physician from Iran, so she could establish Iran's first and only geriatric psychiatry unit. This is Dr. Faragami. However, the traditional triad is no longer ideal. And at UHN, we're moving the triad to a quad. And with the push of a button, my friend Ingrid will make some magical things appear. And for those things all to occur appropriately, quality of work life must move very much to the center of our discussion, along with the three pillars of education, research, and service. We know that never before have providers and those who support providers been so stressed in the work environment, and we know that the demands of increasing acuity within patients and the needs of frail and aging patients are more important than ever. So what are we doing about it? Well, at Princess Margaret, we developed a program known as BRIGHT. The program builds resilience and well-being within Team UHN. While this started at Princess Margaret, it is now beginning to be rolled out across UHN. We also, through the Peter Monk Cardiac Center, were able to pilot a burnout survey using the Well-Being Index, a confidential, anonymous survey developed by the Mayo Clinic. UHN is proud to be the first Canadian hospital to undertake this work and administer this survey, and now, after completing the work at the Peter Monk Cardiac Center, we'll be rolling it out across the organization. Caring for the caregiver must be a major theme in the coming years. Caring for the caregiver is indeed caring for the patient. We were also proud to complete the work of our strategic plan, guided and approved by our board, but most importantly, built on the passion of ideas from patients, from partners, and from Team UHN, as well as our partner organizations. Research and education have subsequently come out with their aligned plan, and each of our programs are now looking at how they might bring that plan to life for patients, for learners, and beyond. Another UHN-wide support is our clinical transformation, and that is superpowering our technology in order to improve our science and how we care for individuals. For the best care to be possible, we know we need to have the best electronic and physical infrastructure. And during this coming year, we will embark on a challenging transition, which will include a new health information system. We are now in the selection phase and look forward to completing that work. Many of you have heard me comment on the physical infrastructure of UHN, and while some of those areas are remarkable, we also know through our master plan that we have a lot of work to do on providing for patients and for staff the kind of physical environment that befits a top 10 in the world hospital. We're particularly mindful of the aging infrastructure at our Toronto Western site and have been challenged by it significantly. But again, thanks to our foundation's generous donors and our work with the Government of Ontario, look forward to bringing both cyber and physical infrastructure renewal to UHN in the coming years. We've also been working on many other UHN-wide supports, including our organizational structure, our work on conflict of interest, and beyond. The work never stops at UHN, and the team is always up to it. Now, if I might, I'd like to make recognition of an absolutely remarkable amount of funds raised by our foundations, and it is $402.2 million. That is really astronomical. Thank you. Frankly, it is this kind of fundraising that will permit us to maintain our status as a top 10 hospital and be the destination for some of the world's great providers, educators, and researchers. I'm very pleased to have a number of the chairs of the foundations and, of course, the CEOs with us here today, and to, on behalf of our board, echo Brian's comments of thanks. No matter how much money you raise, I guarantee you we can spend more. Let me next talk a little bit about the future. And the future, clearly, in healthcare it is a team sport, and the future is about partnerships. No longer is it acceptable for us to think that the patient journey of a hospital visit alone is a comprehensive care for a patient. It really involves the full continuum of care, from pre-primary care through to home care and beyond. But in addition to the continuum, we should also talk to you about the remarkable partners we enjoy here in Toronto. Without doubt, the Government of Ontario, our funder, has been a great partner for UHN over the past year. Significant investment in times of challenge is greatly appreciated. We continue to work with the Government of Ontario to help them to understand the unique role of the quaternary nature of UHN, Canada's hospital for the sickest, most fragile Canadians, while also downtown Toronto's community hospital. Also, the Government of Canada, the remarkable investment we've seen through CIHR and the other tri-councils, as well as CFI for infrastructure renewal. A special shout out to the symbiotic relationship we enjoy with the University of Toronto. Never could we imagine a more unified approach to bring scholarship and care together, and when one thinks of the diversity of ideas and richness of concepts, bringing the people from UHN and the faculty and staff from the University of Toronto simply supercharges our ability to be a leading academic health science center. Last, and certainly not least, they are our other healthcare partners, be they partner academic health science centers like Mount Sinai, St. Mike's, Sunnybrook, Women's College, and the list goes on, Sick Kids, or small community agencies who are working with us to support those patients in our emergency rooms struggling with mental health and addictions issues or going through a cancer journey. All are an essential component as we look forward to a healthier world. Thank you very much to all the partners that UHN enjoys. I'm very excited about our future and the next year, which will indeed be guided by our strategic plan and its priorities. So clearly, tomorrow's care today. I believe we have launched such an important initiative last week as we began in lung surgery, the launch of our integrated care program. One care team from pre-hospital through post-hospital care, all coordinated with one telephone number to call in comprehensive care for a patient anytime and anywhere. No longer should it be the patient's responsibility to figure out who should I call when something is concerning. In Team UHN, we are strengthening our commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion, and I'm very grateful to the many colleagues who've created forums to discuss and advance UHN, both as a provider and an employer to equity-deserving groups. I'd also like to acknowledge Pride Month and Indigenous Awareness Month as we celebrate with our community today. On the theme of convergence, I can't think of a better example than transforming Michener's 12th floor into a high-tech, high-fidelity surgical and medical innovation center, truly training surgeons and interventional radiologists and others for the next generation of care. This center is leading-edge testing and leading-edge education and advances robotics, medical education, and virtual reality. Our technology goal is nothing less than being the environment that best applies the latest technology, including artificial intelligence and leveraging our once-in-a-lifetime opportunity around a health information infrastructure to truly elevate what we do, both in terms of quality and in terms of quality of work life. And last but not least, the rich ecosystem we live in with the university and our TASN hospitals, as well as the private sector, gives us the opportunity to better explore how to commercialize the science of UHN, thereby creating jobs and creating a better tax structure, which goes back to funding environments such as ours. If we're going to deliver on this exciting work, we do, however, need to maintain a strong financial position. Excuse me. We're delivering more and more care, and by the numbers, it is clear that we are an efficient hospital. Our revenue is growing, as are our volumes, so we continue to serve more people. Our working capital ratio, which really means how much money we have to pay all of our outstanding bills, is healthy. Healthier than most, frankly. And in preparation for coming reports to the community, I should prepare you to see that number decline slightly as we use more of the cash on hand to fund the important capital initiatives I've talked to you about, both cyber and physical, as well as ramp up our clinical transformation with the advent of a new health information system. These are planned and needed investments, and I'm grateful for the stewardship of the resources we've enjoyed to date that put us in a position to make these investments. Next, our operating margin. Our initial margin at year-end was $31.3 million, or 1.35%. It was above our target of 1.3%. You'll notice, however, the slide on your screen says 1.13%, and I should explain why. At year-end, we did choose to take some surplus dollars to address pressing priorities totaling $5.1 million. These were balanced against the care needs and quality of work-life needs, both for our patients and providers. The result in a year-end margin of $26.2 million, or a 1.13%, which a positive variance, which is already allocated for commitments, including capital projects. We were able to achieve this margin because of special circumstances, and again, we thank the Ministry of Health for some one-time funding, for rebates on depreciating savings, and for unique funds that help us offset shortfalls, managing some of our operating portfolios. Most importantly, I should thank all of the people working at UHN for working hard to steward the resources of the taxpayer of Ontario carefully and well. We can truly accomplish anything when we work together. So in closing, we are Team UHN. I feel like we should be playing the CNN music. Staff, physicians, researchers, learners, and volunteers. When I first had the privilege of arriving at UHN, people here said they loved working here for the most important reason because of the team they're on, their local team and their collective team, and I've seen that loud and clear, and I'm extremely proud of the team that I enjoy working with. Since then, you've told me about the importance of team well-being at open forums, at retreats, at events, in the hallway, in conversations, and emails, and I can tell you that that is our highest priority going forward, ensuring the health of the caregiver as well as the health of the patient. UHN is indeed a leader in care, research, and education, and we are also committed to being a leader in quality of work life. The literature shows, as an academic health science center, we need to be mindful of it, that employee well-being is tied to a twofold increase in safer outcomes, better patient experience, and respectful behaviors. So we have every incentive to empower Team UHN in the support of a truly healthier world. We're all part of the team, and it's a privilege to shape this place and worth each of our efforts. Thank you to each of you. I'd now like to ask Jillian Howard and Michael Baker to the stage to kick off our very important Local Impact Awards. Thank you very much.
So as everybody here knows, sharing a podium with Michael Baker is an honor, but I'm not as funny as he is. So Michael and I have co-chaired the Local Impact Awards for 4 years, and this year, thanks to Ingrid Yu, we did the entries digitally, and that meant we had 130 entries to look at, which was more than ever before. And what I want to say is it was completely heartwarming to read what all the entries wrote about their colleagues. This is a wonderful place to work, and people are very much about their teams. I'm going to start by calling up the winners of the Clinical Team Award, and before you get here, I'm going to warn you, the glass piece is not attached to the base. So hold on to both parts. So the winner of the Local Impact Award for Clinical Team, the Discharge Nurse Navigators in General Surgery. They are Dana McKenzie, Muggs Sweeman, Yvonne Davis, Marcia Johnson. This nomination recognizes the exemplary care these nurses provide to patients who are at high risk for readmission. They provide on-site education to patients, informal coaching to caregivers, and links to other health professions. Last year, they had 4,500 interactions with high-risk patients and prevented over 1,200 emergency department visits by working with these patients and families. Michael.
Congratulations, everybody. We've got an award for you.
Hold on to Bill Bobby.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the Board of Trustees, the nominators, and the selection committee for this award. 9 years ago, the Surgical Discharge Navigator team was created to reduce emergency room readmission rates. However, over the years, the role of the discharge nurse navigators has been proven not only to reduce readmission rates of high-risk patients, but the program has also demonstrated great success in breaking barriers for patients between the hospital and home following their treatment in hospital. This ultimately results in an improved patient experience with better and safer outcomes, and we are very proud to be a part of such an initiative. We again thank all of those involved in selecting us for this award, and we look forward to continuing to make a difference in the lives of our patients. Thank you.
The second clinical award is to an individual, and that individual is Paul Tassioni. Paul's nominator says he's an exemplary nurse dedicated to delivering patient-centered, holistic care no matter how busy he is, and he's always there to provide emotional support to his patients, their family, and friends. He's also there every time for his colleagues with a focus on team building and celebrating the success of others. He's organized a social committee for the team, and nobody on the team has a birthday without a celebration, thanks to Paul. And I have a feeling that Paul is actually working today because I don't see anybody coming up, and he's probably planning more birthday parties. So we will make sure he gets the award. We will be up again, but my next job is to introduce two people to you who are going to speak for about 5 minutes. They really don't need any introduction to the people in the room, but Sam Saba is the new medical director of UHN's emergency department, and Deb is the nurse manager of Toronto General's emergency department. Sam and
Thank you, Julianne. I want to start by acknowledging the fact that we are missing our partner, Kathy Bates, who's a Toronto Western emergency nurse manager. Kathy really wanted to be here with us today, but she could not. So she's with us in spirit. I do want to thank you all for the opportunity to come speak to you. Hallway medicine has been in the media a lot in the last little while, and that struggle is definitely real. And unfortunately, we're not immune to it at UHN. Take a walk through any one of our emergency departments, and the sobering reality will hit you really hard. But I'm not here to talk to you today about increasing demand in high acuity and overcrowding or wait times. I'm here to talk to you about the people that we serve and the people who serve them. As Kevin mentioned, we're a quaternary care hospital, so we have the privilege of taking care of some of the sickest and most complex patients in the country. We're also a local community hospital. We provide emergency care to people who either work or live in our communities. And we provide an essential service to a group of people who are marginalized and vulnerable, like the homeless and people, indigenous people. And for those people, we are both their healthcare safety net, but we're also their social safety net. Many of you may not know, but we're also home to the largest global health group in North America. We have doctors deployed all over the world, providing care to people in crisis. Now, I'd like to call your attention to this photo. This photo was taken by one of our emergency physicians, Dr. Don Lim, and was featured in the National Geographic. It's the resuscitation room at the Toronto Western Hospital immediately after a code was run in a patient who was in cardiac arrest. If you look closely, the photo tells a story. It gives a little bit of a glimpse into those critical moments when someone is at the verge between life and death, and all the heroic efforts that go into resuscitating them. If you think about what it takes to be able to respond to a life-threatening emergency at a moment's notice, it takes knowledge, it takes skill, but more than anything, it takes an unwavering commitment to being ever present. We are there 24/7, 365 days a year, waiting for that moment when we can intervene. Now, there's more depth to this story, and I'm going to hand it over to Deb.
Thank you. What Sam has just described is a multidisciplinary team response to the patient at their most critical moment. So you might ask, what is a team? A team is a group of individuals who come together with a common goal. At UHN, our goal is a healthier world for our patients, our community, and beyond. So how do we accomplish that? The emergency departments at both Toronto Western and Toronto General rely on the work of our internal team, but we also depend on support from teams across UHN to ensure that we're able to deliver high-quality care for our patients when they need it. You could compare the support that we receive in the emergency department to somewhat to the way the credits roll at the end of a movie. These are actors that you see on the screen, but it may come as a surprise that there could be up to 3,700 people credited for their work in the creation of the end product. Every member of that crew has a role to play in the success of a movie. Clearly, in the emergency department, we don't have costume designers and set directors in our place, and there's not a credit roll that runs at the end of the shift to acknowledge the work that happens behind the scenes. But if we did have that, there would be a very long list of dedicated and important team members across UHN who support the work we do every day. Many of the members of this extended team may never actually have direct contact with any of our patients, but the role that they play is essential to ensure that the care that we deliver in the emergency department is both safe and efficient. These great people across UHN work hard to ensure that we have the supplies and the medications and the medical equipment that we need, that our lights are on, that our area is clean, and that our patients are moving through the system. We have teams that focus on our health and safety, others who ensure that we're following correct procedures to prevent us from infectious diseases. There are also team members that help us recruit, hire, and train the amazing staff that we have working with us. There are staff, many of who work off-site, who play a vital role in managing, updating, and developing IT solutions that support the care delivery. And there are others who take this wonderful data and provide us with statistics that help us understand and plan for the care of our patient population, both now but also in the future. One of the many things that I love about working in the emergency department is that we interface with virtually every department across our great organization. And each and every one has an important role to play in how we do our work and how we achieve our goal. I spoke to the staff today about this talk, and one of the things that the nurses said to me is how important that support system is that we have to rely on. She said, if one cog is broken or missing, we can't do our work. The machine stops. So it really is that important, the contribution of every team member across this organization. We really can't do our jobs without each other, and we really are a team that expands well beyond the walls of our emergency department.
So in closing, we just want to say thank you to all of you for everything you do to help us in supporting the delivery of high-quality care to our patients. whether it's locally or globally. A sick cancer patient, a homeless patient, or a war victim in Central Africa, backed by Team UHN, we really are creating a healthier world. Thank you. Next up, I call Jillian and Dr. Baker.
It's my turn to say what a privilege it is to share the podium with Jillian Howard, Canada's best Vice President for Public Affairs and Community Communications. We're back with the Local Impact Awards, this time for non-clinical areas. The winners for the category of a team's contributions in a non-clinical area are cited for their dedication and passionate efforts over the past 20 years to provide UHN with a modern, sustainable environment. Programs that have included lighting replacements, water cooling projects, complex waste disposal, and partnering with groups such as Operation Green, UHN's amazing energy and environment team. Ed Rubenstein, Lisa Van Lint, Mike Kurtz, Son Yang Hu, Alan Wu, Mehdi Montakafpour, and Sinthusha Sivakumaran. Congratulations. Does anyone want to make a remark? Yeah. Oh, photo op. Come on over. Looking right here. Come over just a little bit. One more.
Thank you, everyone. This is really exciting, and thank you for recognizing the Energy and Environment team. It's becoming more apparent that healthy people require a healthy environment, and that caring for our environment is actually a form of healthcare. I'm constantly amazed with the professionalism, expertise, and compassion with which Team UHN carries out its work, and the Energy and Environment team is no exception. Their dedication, hard work, and personal drive are second to none. Kevin spoke about challenges facing healthcare, and it's around this backdrop that I am even more amazed how readily those who are not part of the Energy and Environment team make time to incorporate environmental sustainability into their jobs. And this award really is to be shared by everyone here at Team UHN. So again, congratulations to the Energy and Environment team. And on behalf of the Energy and Environment team, thank you to the rest of UHN. And of course, the last person to leave, please remember to turn off the lights. Thank you.
Our final Local Impact Award is for an individual's contributions in a non-clinical area. She is cited for her exemplary work as an administrative coordinator for TRI scientists in the KITE program, for being an excellent problem solver, for her selfless support of other colleagues, and her organization of excellent team building events. Linda Young, please come on up to the stage. Do you want to say a few words? Sure. Can I get a quick picture? Oh, yeah. Oh, picture, photo. Oh. Behind every great woman. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Hi. Sorry, just give me a second. Thank you. It's such an honor and I'm so touched to be receiving this award. Sorry, I'm really nervous. And I'm really grateful for all the amazing individuals and teams that I get to work with. You make it so much more enjoyable coming into the office every day. And thank you for all your support, kindness, and encouragement. Thanks.
To present our Quality and Safety Award, I would like to welcome our Vice President for Quality and Safety, Emily Musing.
Good afternoon. So this year, at the suggestion of our CEO, Kevin, we introduced a new Quality and Safety Local Impact Award, which is to recognize a UHN employee, physician, or team who has significantly improved our safety culture or significantly reduced preventable harm in patients. We had a total of 44 nominations for some absolutely impressive individuals and teams. And I want to take this time to thank both the many nominators as well as the many individuals and teams nominated for their focus on quality and safety. So this year's award goes to a team that includes physicians, clinical, and practice leaders. They represent multiple sites at UHN, and their work has impacted patient safety across all sites, programs, and units. I'm talking about the team who has led the organizational-wide improvement efforts to reduce UHN's 6 quality hospital-acquired conditions. These leaders, who were chosen to lead our efforts to prevent hospital-acquired conditions, were chosen because of their content expertise, both within and outside of UHN. The team consists of Jin He and Lori Taylor for adverse drug events, Susie Hota and Judy Costello for C. diff infections, Linda Flockhart and Jeff Singh for central line infections, Leanna Graham for falls, Pam Savage and Leslie Heath for pressure injuries, and Marianne Neary and Tim Jackson for surgical site infections. I invite these individuals to come up to receive their award.
Okay, thank you very much, Emily, and the nominating committee. I'm thrilled to accept this Quality and Safety Award on behalf of the 6 co-leads. My name's Marianne Neary. I was the co-lead with my quality improvement partner in crime, Tim Jackson, and I think everyone else has been introduced for the hospital-acquired conditions of adverse drug events, C. difficile infections, central line infections, falls, pressure injuries, and SSIs. This has been a journey for most of us since 2015, 2016, with the capable help of Caring Safely and our Caring Safety specialists to reduce the occurrence of these 6 hospital-acquired conditions. Our work continues. We're not done yet, but I think I can speak on behalf of all of us that we feel we're making significant headway in improving our culture of safety and reducing preventable harm to our patients at UHN. And for that, we thank all of you for this recognition in this Quality and Safety Award this year. Thank you.
Fantastic. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Linda Johnston, who's the Dean of the Lawrence S. Bloomberg Faculty of Nursing at University of Toronto. She's going to come up and speak to us about partnerships.
I'd like to thank Professor Smith and colleagues of UHN for the opportunity to describe the critical importance of partnerships between hospitals and academia in delivering safe and effective care and educating the next generation of clinicians, academics, researchers and policymakers using the Bloomberg Faculty of Nursing at the University of Toronto as an exemplar. Our 2017-2022 Strategic Academic Plan Shaping Tomorrow's Leaders Today is built on 5 pillars, and one of those pillars is fostering a productive and sustainable partnership with our affiliated world-leading clinical institutions and community-based service providers. Our objectives in relation to that pillar are developing programs and pathways for academic excellence together with our clinical partners, preempting health workforce needs and ensuring we are delivering a graduate workforce that's fit for purpose, recognising and valuing clinical academic practice, and supporting practice learning environments that promote high standards of interprofessional practice. As Bloomberg Nursing prepares to celebrate its 100th anniversary next year, it might be of interest to point out that the faculty has a long history of partnering with UHN. In the 1920s, nursing students were educated at the Toronto General School of Nursing, working 12-hour shifts, 5.5 days per week, with afternoon lectures every weekday. In September 1920, 50 nurses started their first day at U of T under the directorship of Kathleen Russell, herself a previous graduate of the Toronto General Hospital program. In 1926, the sandwich model of nursing education was adopted, with students spending their first and last years at university and their middle 2 years at TGH. It wasn't until 1933 a 3-year university-based program was introduced. Our history and our current strategic plan are aligned with the 2019-2023 strategic plan of UHN. The faculty too has a commitment to care, research and education. We have had and we will continue to have a partnership with UHN that contributes to that triple and now quadruple promise. Care is delivered by your nurses and by our students under guidance. Given the data on our students' graduate destinations, it is not out of the realm of possibility that approximately 10% of the current UHN workforce of 5,000 nurses are graduates of Bloomberg Nursing, caring for patients, clients and families in a variety of roles, in a variety of settings. Research is also undertaken in a partnership model. The faculty is fortunate to have an RBC chair in oncology nursing research and an RBC chair in cardiovascular nursing research at UHN. An additional 4 faculty hold research appointments at UHN. Over the last 3 years, over 30 publications in high-impact journals have been co-authored by UHN nursing chairs, PhD students, postdoctoral fellows and clinicians, addressing issues such as self-management of cancer-related symptoms, communication strategies with people with dementia, outcomes for older adults after hip fracture, and the benefits and harms of capnography during procedures involving moderate sedation. During that same 3-year period, UHN nurse researchers and clinician scientists have partnered with Bloomberg faculty in the award of over $6 million in competitive research funding. Education of our students in clinical practice is supported by UHN nurses. Every year, approximately 280 high-quality learning opportunities are provided by UHN in a variety of practice settings that support the development of students in our undergraduate, nurse practitioner, advanced practice and administration programs. Close to 200 adjunct faculty, preceptors and clinical instructors from UHN Nursing deliver in-class lectures, supervise students on placement, and are members of PhD thesis supervision committees. Nursing at UHN has also been a generous partner in our Global Nursing Scholars program, providing observational experience and mentorship of nursing colleagues from China and Hong Kong in the areas of cardiology, nurse education, and acute stroke and rehabilitation. Just as our history describes our partnership, so does our future. The goals of the UHN strategic plan include integration of care within UHN and across healthcare systems, education within an environment that supports health and well-being, approaches that accelerate discovery and clinical adoption, and innovation to evolve care and scholarship. The faculty has similar objectives. Our new professional doctorate in nursing for executive-level nursing leaders in healthcare and expert nurse educators has a planned launch in the fall of 2020, and will focus on the theory and practice of implementation science and the accelerated adoption of evidence into practice. Better integration of nurse practitioners into the Ontario health system demonstrates a range of benefits, including improved overall quality of care, improved health outcomes, cost savings, and improved patient satisfaction. New continuing professional development programs, plan revisions to our nurse practitioner programs, and redesign of our simulation lab to incorporate a home care setting will prepare a nursing workforce capable of integrating across the health sectors. Bloomberg Nursing, together with the Council of Health Sciences at U of T, is committed to fostering a culture where health, well-being and resiliency are integrated in the places we work, learn and conduct research. As the UHN strategic plan concludes, guided by our shared vision and the strategic priorities we've collectively built, we can achieve a healthier world. Bloomberg Nursing is very proud to be a part of that shared vision. Thank you. To present the Inventor of the Year Awards, I'd like to call on Brad Waters, Executive Vice President of Science and Research at UHN, to the podium.
The Inventor of the Year Award recognizes an individual at UHN or a team that has made a substantial and important contribution to the development of new healthcare opportunities as a result of invention or innovation here at UHN. The award was created by the Technology Development and Commercialization Office to both recognize and promote an entrepreneurial culture here at UHN. This year's recipients have made a tremendous contribution to this advancement that is already creating a healthier world. Because of this, their invention has also had a tremendous market suitability, commercialization potential, and is already affecting the lives of patients here at UHN. I'm pleased to announce that the recipients of the 2018 Inventor of the Year Award are Drs. Shaf Khashoggi and Marcelo Seipel. Shaf and Marcelo are being recognized for the development of the Toronto ex vivo lung perfusion system, also known as EVLP. You saw a picture of this in the video that was shown at the beginning of the presentation today. This technology allows the survival and functional characterization of lungs outside of the human body, preserving the time for which they can be used for transplant, and even setting up a platform for the repair and treatment of these lungs to make them available for more recipients. One of those 3,500 publications that Kevin mentioned this year presented the results of this team, led by both Shaf and Marcelo, on the treatment of lungs that were infected with hepatitis C, making those lungs available for patients. This technology has been used on over 500 patients already at UHN. It's being adopted around the world, in Europe, and leading centers in the US. And this technology will save thousands of lives in the years to come. Congratulations, both.
Great.
Maybe I will just, I think Brad said it all, but I'd just say that this work represents something that's very special about where we work, and it's the story of perseverance, believing that what's not possible today can be made possible tomorrow. And the idea of keeping organs outside the body alive and repairing them is not new. It's centuries old. Da Vinci dreamed of doing it. Charles Lindbergh, the aviator, actually put kidneys on organ support systems to try and achieve this, and nobody had achieved it. But we were working on gene therapy, and then when Marcelo came into the lab, I said, look, you know, we have to try and figure out how to do this, keep lungs outside the body, and genetically modify them so they can be better for transplantation. And Marcelo worked incredibly hard, a story of creativity, teamwork, not just the two of us, but the whole Latner Labs and UHN that helped us take an idea like this and bring it successfully forward. I'll never forget the day Marcelo called me. I was in the OR and he said, the lung's been going for 9 hours and it looks perfect. And I knew we'd hit a home run then. So, and Bryce Taylor and others clinically, our nurses in the OR, helped us to figure out how to bring this contraption from the lab into the OR. And now it's a worldwide clinical practice and has extended to helping people with other organs, heart and kidney and liver. So thank you, UHN, and thank you for this wonderful recognition.
So I'd like to call Michael Baker back to the stage for the Global Impact Awards.
We're pleased to continue the tradition of selecting recipients for the UHN Global Impact Awards. Since 2004, we've selected 23 past members of our UHN staff who have been leaders in medicine and science and whose work has led to improvements in healthcare well beyond our borders. The selection committee is co-chaired by Drs. Bryce Taylor, Chris Page, and me, with advice from a panel of experts who are themselves internationally prominent in their fields. Drs. Tyrone David, Francis Shepard, Catherine Siminovich, and Peter St. George Hislop. This year, we're proud to announce 2 recipients of the UHN Global Impact Award for 2019. The first recipient is cited for setting the standard for medical technology education in Canada, China, and the Middle East, and for founding the Michener Institute, Dr. Diana Schatz. Before presenting the award to Dr. Schatz, to outline Dr. Schatz's many award-winning contributions, I would like to call on our own international leader in education and Executive Vice President, Dr. Brian Hodges. Brian.
UHN, as you've seen, is filled with amazing people. Some shine for their sheer brilliance of their minds, some for their compassion. Many are outstanding teachers. Once in a while, someone comes along who has all that, but also sees a little farther than everyone else. Someone who decodes the future and sets a new path. In 1958, a recently minted biochemist named Dr. Diana Schatz, toiling in the basement pathology laboratory of Toronto General Hospital, thought it makes no sense to have no training for our laboratory technologists. And that year, she invented the first ever education program for laboratory technologists, today a group that is the 4th largest health professional group in Canada. The lab technology program grew, and Diana would soon add many other new training programs, forming the Toronto Institute for Medical Technology. Importantly, Diana became one of the first women presidents of a college in Canada. Hers was an institution that imagined a future, a school that would work with the Ministry of Health to anticipate system needs. It created the first midwifery program, the first acupuncture program, the first paramedic program. And in 1970, it would be called the Michener Institute of Education, Ontario's only college entirely devoted to the applied health sciences. Diana oversaw the building of the St. Patrick campus that today is still a state-of-the-art learning facility. She would help found the Association of Canadian Community Colleges and become its president. And her new school would reach out and build education programs in China, Saudi Arabia, India, Bangladesh, Thailand, and around the world. Diana stepped down as president of the Michener Institute in 1995, but she never really retired. I first met her 4 years ago as a guest at Michener's Student Awards, and when she came down the stairs, she received a hero's welcome from the students and the faculty. Importantly, in 2015, a group of faculty, a delegation, went to Diana's home. They wanted to know what she thought of this crazy idea that maybe the Michener Institute would integrate with UHN. Urban legend has it that she said, "There will always be a UHN, and it's time to go home." So as we integrated Diana in 2016, as you know, we ensured that there will always be a Michener Institute of Education at UHN. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in recognizing a visionary leader who's changed the face of healthcare education.
I think I'm speechless, which is rather nice. It's hard to believe that in 1958 I was hired by Toronto General Hospital to the laboratories, which at that point occupied the bottom floor of the private patient's pavilion, 4 rooms. And that was the beginning of an intriguing career for me. But what has been even more intriguing is the people I had to work with and their creativity, which allowed so many technologies to flower, integrate, and today be presented not as individual little pieces, but integrated healthcare. Thank you very much for the honor.
We're going to take a picture.
Okay.
This is what it looks like, but it's heavy and in 2 pieces. So
All right, anyway, I'll put this over here. I don't need the key. Okay. I'll try not to drop it.
There it is, guys, looking right here. Here's one more just like that. Last. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can give a little help.
Yeah.
Our second recipient this year is cited for his pioneering description of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy and his international leadership in cardiology, the late Dr. E. Douglas Weigel. Before calling on his family members to come up forward to receive the award on behalf of Dr. Weigel, I would like to call on our distinguished professor of medicine and cardiology, Dr. John Flores, to outline Dr. Weigel's signal contributions. Dr. Flores.
Thank you, Michael. Dr. Douglas Weigel joined the Toronto General Hospital faculty in 1960 and led its division of cardiology from 1972 to 1986. He retired 50 years later in 2010, leaving a legacy of enduring global impact. Through insightful attention to the patient's narrative, astute bedside evaluation, and classical physiological and pathophysiological investigation, he brought clarity to an enigmatic and often life-threatening heart muscle disorder known now as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. To a then skeptical cardiovascular community, he proposed innovative medical and surgical treatments. He proved that these could alleviate symptoms and prolong life. A master clinician, a university professor, and a charismatic educator, Doug trained and inspired legions of cardiologists, and in so doing, elevated the quality of care provided to such patients worldwide, and established the University Health Network as an international center of excellence for hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. As his last recruit to the division, it's an honor to present the 2018 Global Impact Award to his widow, Ann Weigel, who I was assured would be here. Ann? No? Any Weigel family members? Okay. Right, thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, John. President, Mr. President.
You
likes to be referred to as Your Excellency, I've been told. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Baker and Ms. Howard. And please join me in congratulating all of the recognized winners this afternoon. Wonderful, wonderful stories and remarkable impact. It's my great pleasure now to ask Kasseri Skane to the stage. Kasseri is the manager of UHN's patient engagement. She's going to help set the stage for a patient partner who is really why we truly are all here. Kasseri, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce Peter Kiriakides to all of you today. Peter is known by many of you as a life coach, a mentor, a volunteer, and as one of our patient partners at UHN since 2015. He's lent his insights and perspectives on many projects at UHN, and this year he was a recipient of the Paddy McGillicuddy Award at UHN's Health Professions Celebrations. He is also a key member of Toronto Rehab's Acquired Brain Injury Safety and Quality Committee, where he helps strengthen our ability to provide quality and compassionate care for patients and families. I've had the pleasure of working with Peter over the last few years, and I often talk about the wisdom that Peter shares. Wisdom that truly makes you pause, reflect, and really motivates you to want to take action. Just last week, as we were working on a project, he said to me, "Every challenge builds strength and character, and that goes individually and organizationally. Nothing that is easy holds sustainable value." He said that this work is defining the people and staff of UHN and will resound for future generations. Today, Peter's going to share with us his journey about the power of people and what we can accomplish when we're guided by our shared values. Please join me in welcoming Peter Kiriakides.
Okay, thank you, Kasseri. Let me ask a question. What comes to your minds when you think of the word organization? Anybody want to shout out the word? Oh, I guess not. Okay, well, since my time here at UHN, over the years, I've come to see UHN as an actual organism. And the different hospitals within the organization are like organs in themselves. And the organs are actually what makes the organism. So what makes up the cells are the people that work here and commit their time and energy to this place. So that's why it's very important to realize that we all make a difference in our small interactions. Doesn't matter what your role is, because you're part of an organism. And if an organism has an unhealthy cell, it doesn't function properly. So it's important to realize that, because we all make a difference. So the question to ask ourselves is, what kind of difference are we making? Is it a positive one or a negative one? Because no matter which one it is, it's still making a difference. So for me personally, I try to remind myself what's dwelling in my mind. Is it positive? Is it empowering thoughts? Or is it negative, disempowering thoughts? And this is the right mindset to have in life, because especially when it has to do with patients and sensitive issues like this, it's important to check ourselves before we interact. And that leads me to my story. And I'm sure you are wondering what happened to me and why I'm in this chair. So let me sum it up briefly, and we're short of time, so I don't know. Where's the timekeeper here? Okay. Okay, so one night, about 10 years ago, I was driving down a street up north, and I had no idea where I was. I got lost. And all of a sudden, I hit a patch of black ice, and I collided against the tree. I demolished my car, and I got knocked out. But when I woke up from the impact, I was in a daze, and all I could smell were fumes. But luckily enough, I still could walk. So I walked in search for help, and luckily I found a neighbor, and they offered their assistance, and they called the ambulance. So from there, I went to the emergency room. And when I was there, they said, they did all the tests, but they said I suffered a minor concussion and released me the next day. But nothing was ever the same from that day forward. I remember when I left the hospital, I went to visit my uncle because he lived up there. And I was waiting in the driveway, and I was watching the driveway. It was spinning in circles. So obviously I was hallucinating. But I just thought it was part of the concussion, so I let it go. Then a couple months later, a lot of other weird symptoms started happening. Like, for instance, I would eat heavy meals and I would vomit. I'd lose my balance sporadically, like out of nowhere. Something was definitely wrong, but I was young and very naive. So I said, forget it, I can get over this. Nothing's wrong. And then finally, one day I was getting ready for work, and I was about to step in the shower, and then boom, I like dead weight, smacked my head against the tub. I lost my balance totally. And when I stood up, blood was dripping down my face. My balance was impaired. Something definitely was wrong. So from there, I went to the emergency room, and they rushed me to do some tests. I did the test, and the doctor said to me, Peter, you have some inflammation in your brain, but you're not gonna recover fully. You have a 95% chance of recovery. So I said, okay, at that time it was a big hit, but I could deal with it. So while I was waiting to go for rehab, for physical therapy, they decided to give me a spinal tap. But the sad story is they had to lock the hospital up because there was a SARS outbreak. And when they had the SARS outbreak, the hospital was very disorganized. Nurses weren't doing their job properly. But luckily enough for me, that's when they decided to give me the spinal tap. And when they gave me the spinal tap, I'm being sarcastic, by the way. When they gave me the spinal tap, that's when everything went wrong. So the whole procedure went haywire, and I got an infection throughout my whole body. Then when I woke up, I couldn't talk or move. I had no idea what was happening with me, and the doctors said to my family, you better find Peter in a nursing home because we don't see him coming back from this. But luckily, my family had more faith than that. So they worked with the team, and they looked for the best options for me. And that was to go to trauma rehab. So when I arrived at trauma rehab, I was in a catatonic state. Again, I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, I was staring at the ceiling. And I was totally dependent. So they're like, Peter can't stay here. So what's the next best option for him? So from there, I went to Bickle Center. And when I arrived at Bickle Center, that's when I had to fight my real battles, externally and internally. When I say external, I mean physically. But when I say internally, I mean spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. And that battle still goes on every day, right? But when I was there at the Bickle Center, I was totally dependent. I thought I lost my life. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. So when I started coming around and realizing what happened to me, I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to end it. But thank goodness I had great people around me, especially my family, and that's why that photo is up there right now. But even more importantly, it was the staff that really helped me a lot. And they pushed me to get over these limitations I had. Because they believed in me more than I believed in myself. And that's what pushed me over the hill, pushed me over that threshold of getting better. Because right at that point, that's when I realized I only had two options. It was either to live a miserable life and make everybody else miserable, or to do the best I can with what I had. And when I chose that path, that's when everything started getting better. So I got better, I went back to 550. Long story short, I went back and forth about 3 times. And now, just by that, you can understand my passion for Toronto Rehab and UHN. Because not only did I recover my independence, but they helped me recover my life. And so last time I was at Toronto Rehab, they said, okay, Peter, you gained your independence, you're ready to go home. So that's where the deeper journey began. Well, that's another story, so I'll save that for another time. But before I leave you, I really want to share something with you that I find pretty profound, and I find it profound till this day. And I encourage all of you to apply it to your challenges. So when I was asked to speak at Toronto Rehab for one of the first times, one of the main questions they asked me to think about before the speech was, what was it that actually helped you recover? And I thought about this before. So in retrospect, I asked myself, what was it? How did I get over this? And that's when the acronym SAM came to my mind. And SAM stands for support, attitude, and motivation. Because when I had that support, when I had my family there, when I had my grandparents there, when I had my grandfather there shaking me up and saying, come on, you can do this. You know, I had that support. When I had physiotherapists believing in me more than I believed myself, telling me to stand up and leaving me there. And I was like things like that, you know, but that shifted my attitude. And when I shifted that attitude, that's when I had the motivation to get better. So next time you're facing a challenge that seems overwhelming, just think about SAM. Support, attitude, and motivation. And I just want to say, you know, I commend all of you. It's a great place to work at, and even a greater cause. It's a very powerful movement, and I'm honored to be here today to speak to all of you. So let's continue making this a healthier world. Thank you.
Peter, thank you very much for sharing that very powerful and motivating story, and it certainly struck a very strong chord in the room, and we'll certainly remember what the acronym SAM means. I would like to open the floor to any questions we have. I'm happy to take any in terms of questions with regards to governance matters or the functioning of the board or what have you, and then I'm going to allow Kevin to handle the rest. So the floor is now open to any questions. You're going to let us off the hook that easily.
We're just grateful Tony Fell's not here to ask us a financial question.
On note 19, the footnote of the financial statements. Okay, it is with that, I think we'll draw the meeting to a conclusion, and that's our 2019 report to the community. Thank you, everybody, for an exceptional year. And I'd certainly like to invite everybody upstairs to the atrium for the reception. Thank you. Kevin?
Just before we adjourn, I wonder if I could recognize many of the terrific people who made today happen. I just want to thank Ingrid, Aubrey, Matt, Mega, Jesse, Jordana, Annie, Randy, Mark, and of course Grace. Thank you to the team.